Good morning. In our parasha of Chayei Sarah, we have the famous incident where Eliezer asks Rivka for water from the well for himself, and she provides also for his camels. And our sages make a great statement about the importance of her chesed, of her kindness, and particularly the Maharal of Prague explains that this incident really teaches us about the essence and nature of chesed. That chesed is not simply responding to a request, but it is actively initiating doing goodness for others. You see, chesed is something that is self-motivated, that is driven by desire to do good and to help, and therefore chesed only really exists when it is unrequested, when it is something that comes from within the person themselves. And so when Eliezer asks for water for himself, and she responds to that, that's a very nice thing to do. But that is not necessarily a manifestation of true chesed. The true chesed is only apparent when of her own volition she offers to get water for his camels as well. That's the traditional explanation of the importance of her offering to camels, and it's a very important one. But I saw today in the Meshech Chochmah, Rabbi Meir Simcha of Dvinsk gives another fascinating explanation. He says there's a difference between taking care of ourselves and taking care of our animals. And it's a difference that's apparent to any animal lover. The difference is that human beings are capable of taking care of themselves, are responsible of taking care of themselves, and other people are therefore not generally as responsible as the person themselves. You have the ability to earn a living and to support yourself and to take care of yourself and to fetch water for yourself. So that's your responsibility. I have a responsibility to take care of myself. But animals which are dependent on others are just as dependent on me as they are on you, even though you are their owner. And therefore, whilst you have primary responsibility, I also carry some level of responsibility. And that, says the Meshech Chochmah, is what's happening over here. Is that Rivka does not offer Eliezer water off the bat, because after all, he's a big boy. He can get water for himself and he should take care of himself. But she does offer water, unrequested, for his animals. Because if the animals are thirsty, it's true that they're your animals, but they're not able to get water for themselves. They're not able to wind the winch to draw the bucket. So it's my responsibility as well. Tsar Balei Chayim. Animals are in trouble. I should help them. The fact that I'm not their owner notwithstanding. And in fact, the Meshech Chochmah says, it is from here that our sages learn a very interesting halakha. Usually when you employ somebody to work with food, they have the right to eat from that food. There are certain parameters which we're not going into now, but let's say I have a cherry orchard and I'm hiring people to come and pick in the orchard. During that time that they're working, they are allowed to eat a certain amount of cherries. Now, what if such a worker would approach me and say, instead of me eating during that time, I would like to forego my right to eat the cherries, but I'd like you to pay me a little bit extra, the value of what I would normally eat. We can make such an arrangement. Let's say he's doing this together with his animal. It's him and his donkey, and he's got bags on the donkey into which we're putting the cherries, and the donkey also has a right to eat. So let's say the man says, I forgo my donkey's right to eat, and you'll pay me a little bit extra. I'll feed the donkey afterwards. The Mishnah in Bava Metzia, page Sadi Gimel 93a, says a person is not allowed to do that. It seems that this was just a law made by our sages, a rule made in order to protect the animal from the physical hunger and the psychological pain of being surrounded by food and not being able to eat it. But the Meshech Chochmah says it's drawn from this incident. This is the insight that we see over here. Even though this is a story about Rivka and Eliezer, we learn a very important way about dealing with animals. Human beings who have responsibility for themselves and the ability to provide for themselves also have the ability to forego for themselves. But animals we have a responsibility to take care of, and animals we cannot on their behalf forego something that is due to them simply because it benefits us and it's more convenient for us. Shabbat Shalom, and have a wonderful week.